Hello, everyone. This is JVL. Welcome to The Next Level. I'm here with my best friend, Tim Miller, and a very fine, good acquaintance, Amanda Carpenter. I'm kidding. Amanda, our beloved colleague
good acquaintance. FGA?
From the Bulwark, sitting in for Sarah Longwell because, we were passing disease between us, this little group of ours, even though we only see each other remotely.
We're like the Los Angeles
gross.
Clippers. We can't get the full team out. Everyone's got injuries.
Basically. So listen, before we get started, go hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, give us 5 stars. I have to say, I was reading some of our reviews, and I think you people can do better. That's all. I wanted to say that you are seen, that we do read these things, and that I expect a little more from you. So show some effort.
I disagree. I saw a lot of Tim love in the reviews, and I didn't see a lot of JVL love. So maybe this is a little bit more about that than about the quality of the review itself. In addition to the comments being not maybe what JVL up to JVL standards, despite that, I guess maybe instead of in addition to that, despite the comments not being up to JVL standards, we're still giving you guys something. And there's something really special coming for the Next Level listeners, starting on Sunday night, this coming Sunday, and going forward to the foreseeable future for as long as you guys are listening. We're going to have a second edition of the Next Level. That's going to be a little different than the regular one. We'll have many of you the same characters, but we are going to bring in special guests from outside the Bulwark cinematic universe, people who have achieved acclaim in some other endeavor in life besides political punditry, to chat with them about the news and about their life, and maybe tease them a little bit, and maybe get teased about our outfits, or whatever it is. We'll see. We've already taped the first
Carrie Lake.
Carrie Lake is not the first guest, but we already have taped the first guest, and that person is coming on Sunday. And particularly if you are a geriatric millennial, you're going to be very happy. Ooh. If you are not a geriatric millennial, I think you're still going to love it. But if you're a geriatric millennial, you might want to just go ahead and set an alarm on your phone for Sunday night and just keep refreshing the Next Level. And it's going to be really big. And so this is a good moment also to tell your friends to subscribe and do all the things that JVL says you should do.
December 7th, 1941. A day that will live in infamy. But you know what? Turns out there are a lot of bases the Japanese did not attack on December 7th, right? Iwo Jima was fine, right? There are many bases in San Diego. Everything was perfectly peaceful in San Diego.
Very quiet at Fort Meade.
I don't know that we need to fixate on like the one little thing over there where maybe everybody has their own truth. All of this is, I'm sorry, this is a belabored thing that my old friend Tucker Carlson is the recipient of some 40,000 hours of video from courtesy of Kevin McCarthy, and has been doing his own thing on January 6th. And it turns out it was just a peaceful protest, and there are political prisoners in jail. I'm Ron Burgundy. Amanda?
It was a peaceful protest, but Nancy Pelosi is to blame for not securing the Capitol and the violence. I don't know how those two things go together, but it's Nancy Pelosi's fault, and the rioters were good. So that's what I've learned in the last 2 days.
And also other people were running, not just running Josh Hawley. That was a fraud to make it seem like it was only Josh Hawley that was running. There were other people that were also running, but not from anything dangerous. No. Or not from an insurrection. They just also happened to be there was just a jog that was happening. It was kind of like what are those little things that you do, Amanda? Little the half marathons. Are you up to a full marathon now?
No,
many
not
workplaces
yet. Maybe
do
this
calisthenics.
fall.
Yeah, it was just a little 3K.
They
were just having a little 3K for members of Congress, and that evil Liz Cheney happened to show the picture of Josh Hawley, and that was an affront to the truth.
The important thing to remember is that the media was wrong. The media is lying
about
to you.
Something. About unclear what exactly, but something. They were wrong about something. There were some people that were there just chilling. A couple people had lunch that day, at the Capitol, and you don't eat lunch while you're having an insurrection. You don't have time for lunch.
I mean,
we've got some video.
Would you even have packed one?
But in all seriousness, do you think Tucker's having a good week? because I kind of get the feeling this isn't going how he thought it was going to go. I watched his broadcast. Tonight is Tuesday, day 2. It felt like he pulled his punches. We had the big wind up. Everybody look at the footage on night 1. All this backlash from Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell said something. I guess that's a big deal. But tonight it was really only like 20 minutes monologue. He had an interview with a Capitol Police officer who got punished for wearing the MAGA hat. And the officer said he had to wear the MAGA hat to protect himself and be safe from the crowd. But the problem is that the media vilified him for wearing a MAGA hat, and the January 6th committee didn't call him to testify. So that was the big revelation tonight. And then they just did a transition to Julie Kelly, who's like one of these advocates to free the rioters, a media criticism segment, and then this long interview with Russell Brand, just ranting about his spirituality. So I kind of feel like Tucker didn't really bring it. It wasn't, full Patriot.
What was the 20-minute monologue? I have not got the pleasure of watching the second night of Tucker. I caught night 1, at least the clips. What was in the monologue? Was there any added color, any added nuance from night 1 about what we learned?
Nope. It was just him being upset that Chuck Schumer gave a speech about his show and how the criticisms from Republicans like Mitch McConnell and Mitt Romney, et cetera, show that they're really just part of the uniparty that doesn't get it. And all he was doing is providing transparency. And why shouldn't we have this footage? It's not like
just asking
everybody's
questions.
Already gone through it. We didn't have all, January 6th hearings with all kinds of footage, but because we didn't air every single clip, he's just promoting transparency and sunshine.
Can you believe that we did 4 fucking years of this? With this, like, up is down, day is night, red is black, black is white. The idea that the cop had to wear the MAGA hat because to keep him safe from the violent crowd, which was peaceful, which were not motivated by Trump at all. But of course, your only shield and protection from it is to pretend that you're a Trump person wearing a Trump branded hat. And we did 4 years of this with every single thing, every story, every day. You'd wake up and there would be something like this. It is amazing that the entire country didn't have a nervous breakdown.
But it's like, you can't evaluate what's on Fox's air right now outside of what's happening with the Dominion lawsuit, because just as, Tucker's doing night 2 of this ridiculousness, there's text coming out from him where he is writing his producer how much he hates Donald Trump. Can't wait till he never has to talk about him again. It's like, how many times do we have to have text messages or testimony or deposition from Tucker saying, I lie to my audience constantly for ratings and stock? Like, it's all out there. He's still on the air. It's just incredible, the shamelessness.
I hate him passionately. That's a quote. I hate him passionately. I concur, right? But isn't that the whole thing? That we're vicious and evil and like we're out that we're wrong? He hates him passionately and I can't handle much more of this. But luckily it's going to be almost over. That was, same. That was him on January 4th. It's just like, just not to indulge in these insane counterfactuals, because I know the voters are the problem, blah, blah, blah. But like, had Tucker done 16 days from January 4th to January 20th of I hate him passionately, this is wrong, this is terrible, this is ruining the country, wouldn't we have had the 17 Republican votes we needed to be done with this by now? Couldn't we all have moved on to Ron DeSantis and Mike Pence fighting over the future of the Republican Party? Like, couldn't we have had the right? Wouldn't Tucker just being true to himself for 17 days have solved this problem for us? Solved his own problem for himself?
If he had done that, he would have been pulling 300,000 viewers a night by the end of it, and everybody else would have been on Newsmax and OAN. Right? We ran a test case of this, right? Not with Tucker per se, but with the rest of the Fox network. We had like an actual experiment. What happens when Fox kind of does something like that? And we saw, and Fox saw, and everybody saw, all of a sudden we got 1 million new viewers rushing to Newsmax within days. This is what the people want.
Yeah. Well, we've gone round and round on Fox. I don't. Do you have another thoughts on that? Because I'd like to talk about Kevin McCarthy. Can we talk about?
Yeah, because I think that's the most interesting part of the story. That's where I was going to go next. I mean,
before
Kevin
we
McCarthy
get there, can we do Elon first? Because Elon, the richest man in the world, because capitalism works and is a pure meritocracy. Elon Musk rushed out and tweeted, because he himself
avowed
is
moderate,
the world has changed around him. He hasn't changed at all in his politics in the last 20 years. It's just that the wokesters on the left with their mind virus have changed. He saw this show. I guess he has time to watch Fox in prime time, and saw what an incredible miscarriage of justice is that the January 6th Commission has been prosecuting these people, because I guess Elon Musk knows how the criminal justice system works.
Yeah, I've got two. There have been two tweets from Musk on this that I think are worth highlighting in particular. The first was the one that you just mentioned, where I just want to pull it up to get it exactly right, because I think that it's quite important to just understand just how stupid it is. Like, it's not just wrong and offensive, but just utterly stupid. Okay. Besides misleading the public, the January 6th committee, withheld evidence for partisan political reasons that sent people to prison for far more serious crimes than they committed. This is deeply wrong, legally and morally. Derp. I mean, that is so moronic. Has this person not been sued enough to understand how the criminal justice system works? Like, this is not South Africa. Okay, the people that have gone to prison, the January 6th rioters, who, by the way, I'm like probably the least like bloodthirsty among everyone at the Bulwark about these people. Like, maybe on balance, you could argue for me that some of them have been over sentenced, but their sentences have nothing to do with the January 6th committee. They all had their own lawyers. They all had their own subpoena power. They couldn't access any videos. They could have demonstrated to the jury that they didn't do anything that day, that they didn't commit any crimes, that they were just having a nice stroll in the park and eating a ham sandwich, and it was the madness all around them. Like, if that was true, they could have presented that in court. Like the fact that the January 6th, what they put on TV, had nothing to do with these people's sentences. So you're an idiot. And then secondly, I just like Elon's whole thing is like, it's like the Clay Travis thing. It's like, oh, I'm really just a centrist. You know, I haven't gone full MAGA. It's just like, yeah, it's just it's the lamestream media that's gone so liberal. And so he does this tweet. I can't pull this one. I can't find this one. But the gist of it is he attacks McConnell. McConnell does a press conference today where McConnell's press conference, by the way, was kind of wishy-washy for my taste. It was a little moral relativism. It's kind of like,
I agree with this statement.
Yeah, everyone has a chance to determine for themselves what they think, but I think it was bad what happened, but everyone can judge for themselves. And we shouldn't be releasing that. I don't. He criticized McCarthy for giving it to Tucker. Kind of, but an implied criticism, and Musk is like, which party is this guy in? It's like, which party are you in? Right? Like, you're mad at Mitch McConnell for being a rhino now? Like, it's like he is full cat turd too. Like, there is no space between Elon and cat turd 2. I think there's a lot of hope among some people, among Elon stans, people who like the stark Iron Man side of Elon, and like that like, oh, he was a little bit down the rabbit hole on this woke stuff, and maybe he's too out there on the woke stuff and on the speech issue, but like on the rest of the stuff, he's still kind of like the same guy that was an Obama Democrat. No, like he's literally pro-insurrectionist. Like, he has taken a tack that's like, Mitch McConnell is too harsh on the January 6th rioters. That is Elon Musk's stated position right now. Like, that's fucking madness. And this is why the Tucker thing, my final statement on this is why the Tucker thing kind of works. I think it was you, Amanda, that said at the top that, like, oh, this isn't really working for him. There's a lot of ways that it's not working for him, right? Fox is not coming to his defense. It's not on the other Fox shows. Several Republicans have spoken out against him. It doesn't have the juice that it had, but he still sucks in enough of these contrarian assholes with huge platforms, to make it be dangerous and to make it work for him.
Amanda, do you have Elon thoughts, or do you want to get right over to the congressional Republicans?
No, I can't get worked up about Elon. It's just not on my radar. It's like it doesn't get me going the way it does you guys.
I'm jealous. Tell me how you do it.
So, Amanda, in the United States Congress, we've had a bunch. Tom Tillis got up there and said that it was bad. I think Lindsey said that that this stuff was not good, and Mitch backed the blue, right? He held up a letter from a policeman. And is there a real schism? What's happening?
Tillis was pretty good. Tillis was pretty good on this.
Yeah, he's the one that said it was a BS, right?
Tillis called it bullshit.
Yeah. He came up pretty, but I think the criticism is completely misplaced. I mean, yeah, we started with Tucker because he's the one airing it, but who gave him the footage? It was Kevin McCarthy. Like, that's how this started. Kevin McCarthy is the bad guy here. It's not Tucker. Tucker has been doing this stuff for 2 years, 3 years, ever since January 6th. And they decided to start promoting all these other conspiracy theories to underscore it. Kevin McCarthy is keeping this going. And it all gets back to this promise that he had to make to MTG and Matt Gaetz to get the speakership. And this was a weird punt that he went through, because if you even just go back to November, after Republicans took the House, he was getting all fired up and sending tweets to Liz Cheney like, you better preserve your records, because he was threatening to launch an investigation of the January 6th investigation. And it was also stupid anyway, because they had to preserve their records anyway. But I don't think he wanted to do it. I don't think he wanted to go through with it. Because then if you also remember, the January 6th committee tried to subpoena him. What do you think people are going to do to his subpoenas? The same damn thing. Tell him, go take a hike. There's no way he was going to pull off anything like this. So he had to find a different way to do it. He had this footage. Tucker Carlson was an eager customer for it. And he punted the investigation and gave it to Tucker. Like, this is how he tried to outsource it. And it wasn't just that. He sent out fundraising emails about how the footage is going to come out. And so when all these Senate Republicans are crying about Tucker Carlson and Fox News need to get his act together, that should be aimed at Kevin McCarthy and the House, because that's actually, they're just over there on the other side of the Capitol. Could you go take a walk, maybe do a press conference saying we're not going along with this, etc.? But, I do think the split is interesting because it is splitting Republicans. It's also splitting Fox News. Bret Baier had that weird statement today about how nobody at Fox News condones the violence. Like, it's just weird. We're supposed to take these sort of coded messages like, oh, this is Bret Baier really taking a stand. No, you're not. You're primetime. They're getting the ratings. Tucker Carlson will get good ratings again tonight for doing this. This is the whole game that they've been doing this whole time, where they have the primetime hosts do the loony stuff, get the ratings, and then these sort of, bad men like Bret Baier pretend they do news. It's just such a total joke.
And behind the scenes, Bret Baier was like texting, being like,
Bret Baier.
we should do more of what Tucker is saying, right? It's not as if behind the scenes and the text and Dominion, Bret Baier is
Peter Baker piece over the weekend.
Brutal.
Holy mole! I mean,
Martha,
sweet
Martha,
sugary
Martha.
maples. That was something else, right? Do he and Martha get out of this alive?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You think they get out with their like professional reputations unsullied?
Because
I would say
gonna happen...
even like normal mainstream people have always had a great deal of respect for those two, right? Like, non-Fox hating mainstream libs and never Trumpers. Oh, they're the good guys. They're the good guys. They're getting rich taking Fox money, but they're the good guys.
I think that Bret has lost only one thing. Like, he's lost one thing, and
what?
You could imagine a world pre-January 6th, where like 2024 presidential campaign, right? You're always, Chris Wallace was like this, the token, right? Like, you'd have three debates, and there'd be one that would, it'd be Lester Holt, and then, it'd be what, right? And then you'd get a Fox person be part of the deal. And Chris Wallace always did that. Bret was like the natural next person for that, for a general election debate we're talking about, not primary debate. It'll just be all the freaks. Who the hell knows? Like, Matt Walsh will probably be hosting a primary debate this time. But the general election debates, like, Bret Baier was kind of the next one up to get one of the three. I think this might cost him that. Right. I don't know. I think that there is just going to be widespread outrage on the left. And if you're the Biden campaign, you're like, you're going to give me the guy who was texting trying to take Arizona out of my my camp with
well,
no evidence?
That's my question. There's this big debate brewing for a long time. Should Democrats go on Fox News? And the consensus has always been, well, Pete Buttigieg is great. He should keep going. Yeah. How can they go on there now? I mean, until they start, rolling some heads and axing some people, no Democrat should ever go on that network.
We haven't even touched the backroom stuff with the Murdochs taking the ads, which is the way bigger, right? Because this is a back of the house operation. This is like learning that the casino is like stacking the decks or something. Right. Well, this is a real thing, right? I mean, if you can't even trust them to operate as a business, as an honest broker, taking your money to run ad inventory without, doing what is essentially skunkworks stuff for the other side, not just having your on-air talent in constant communication with the other side, but having the back of the house business operations do that. I mean, geez Louise, it is a little bit like it's the Daily Worker or something for the Republican Party. I mean, Pravda isn't even quite right. It's much more like Daily Worker. And
they're a part of it.
Yeah, Jay Wallace. Inside Fox, they said that. Jay Wallace was one in one of those emails. I was like, Lou Dobbs' show makes the North Korean TV look subtle.
Yeah.
But isn't Fox
That's what they were saying about themselves.
Knowing that, all these networks, they make a ton of money on election night making the calls. How can anybody ever trust their calls now? They got rid of all the people who did the work. I mean, who is going to make the election calls now? You can't trust a word that comes out of it.
They might shut it down.
Yeah,
their election
I think they might.
Division.
Oh, what are they?
And what's there?
They can just rely on everybody else.
Or criticize the AP or not make any calls. Yeah, just let the AP has called it. Who knows whether that's true or fake news. I don't know.
So listen, I have a question about all this because it struck me watching what Tucker did with his January 6th stuff. The person this hurts most is Ron DeSantis. Right, so DeSantis desperately...
I disagree, actually. Before we get to DeSantis, can I go back to Kevin? Because I think
go back to my Kevin. Go to my Kevin.
I think it's my Kevin that hurts the most. Because here, look, this is a Dan Crenshaw. It's a Dan Crenshaw quote from today. I don't really have a problem with making it all public, but if your message is then to try and convince people that nothing bad happened, then that's just going to make us look silly. Well, you don't say, Dan Crenshaw. Who could have saw that coming, right? But you're so close to getting it. Inevitably, Kevin's choice to do this was going to make you look silly. And worse than silly. This does not make any... It only makes sense for Kevin's narrow, naked interest of maintaining hold on the MTG so he doesn't get thrown out of power. It makes no sense for the Republican Party. Mitch never has done this. Say what you want about Mitch and all of his weaknesses and failures. Mitch has never made a decision that there wasn't at least some rationale that the broader party would benefit from it, right? Sometimes you got to take your lumps. Trump is such an asshole, right? But he was always strategizing, right? How can I either minimize the pain on us or maximize the pain on them or do whatever's best to... This is not that. The party... As a whole, we just saw in the election it does not benefit at all from this. Here we have, I'm just trying to pull this up, some random, here we go, Mike Collins, some rep from Georgia, during Tucker last night, he tweets this, "I've seen enough, release all the J6 prisoners now."
And that was the goal of this whole effort. Yeah. That's what MTG has been after from the beginning.
And so that's what Kevin gets now. All the Kamala Bale stuff that they did in 2020, release the J6 prisoners now is the position of elected members of the party, not just Julie Kelly, not just some freaks, elected members. Release the prisoners. It will be the position probably
and
of
the former president who's promised to pardon them if reelected.
Right.
From the party of law and order.
From the party of law and order. Kevin did that. It's a total own goal. He could not. There have had to have been other ways to mollify MTG on this. Couldn't they have had some stupid hearing, with a couple of the wronged J6 people, and to give this to Tucker and have this happen is just, it's bad news cycle after bad news cycle. It's turning off the people they need, and it's making them. It's shining a Klieg light on their radicalism. It just was an absolutely disastrous decision by him, and it shows it connects for me to the one of the stories, this good Washington Post story by Jeff Stein today. I think it was this morning, maybe it was yesterday, on this debt limit thing, where Kevin's like, they haven't even started negotiating. Kevin's already negotiated himself into a corner. Like, he promised the Jim Jordans of the world that he's going to get to a balanced budget in 10 years. But he's promised the MAGAs that he won't cut Social Security or Medicare. And he's promised the Club for Growth people that they won't raise taxes. So it's like, they don't have, the math already doesn't work. Like, they don't even have a proposal to bring to the table. Forget negotiating with Biden. He can't even come up with get his own team together. So, like, I just think that, who knows, maybe because there's no other option, he still just kind of limps along with as the weakest speaker in modern history. But he might be walking himself into a grave. I just think this was a disastrous move for him, and that it's hurt him worse than anyone. But I'm interested to hear your pitch that it hurt DeSantis worse.
So here's why I think it hurt DeSantis, right? DeSantis, we had a piece by A.B. Stoddard this week about how among the people who are running for president, with the exception of Donald Trump, for the rest of them, January 6th never happened. Like, it's just out there floating. It never happened. For Trump knows what he thinks.
Asking about is even insulting.
Right.
Like, oh, that's
Trump
the fake news media,
right?
the liberal media.
He launched a single that he sang with the men who are currently in prison and to raise money for their defense.
Excuse
he's
me,
going
a
to
single?
pardon them. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's music. There's music,
like,
Timothy.
Like he like on iTunes, 99 cents. It's
Something
like
like that.
Donald.
Yeah. And so he knows what
I'll
he thinks,
have to
right?
stream that. somehow that missed my radar. You would have thought people were playing it at CPAC.
You're Ron DeSantis. You do not want to talk about this. This is a no-win answer. This is one of those things you just want to say, but you can't stay silent on it forever, right? Eventually, if you're going to run for president, somebody's going to ask you, is Ashley Babbitt a martyr, and are these people political prisoners? And what is he supposed to say? Is he supposed to say Tucker is wrong on all this stuff and the violence is... I mean, I guess he can try to thread the needle, but it's really hard, again, having that plus, like, did you take the vaccine that you're so anti-vax about? He starts to look like a guy who, why does Mitch McConnell endorse? We all hate Mitch McConnell, and Mitch McConnell wants Ron DeSantis to be the nominee, right? This is Jeb Bush just endorsed. We all hate Jeb Bush, and Jeb Bush endorsed this guy, and this guy won't say. Look at the polling on January 6th. Way over 60% of the Republican Party thinks it was a legitimate political protest, right? And so DeSantis is going to have to decide, is he going to follow Trump on this stuff? And again, if he does...
Why wouldn't he, JBL? Why wouldn't he do the same thing he did on Ukraine? I really, this should be a difficult question for him, but I don't think it is. Given all the mimicry that he has based his career on, drafting after Trump, of course he will. Pardons are great. Or he might say something like, the pretrial detention is too long, blah, blah, blah.
Because I think if you're DeSantis on this issue, if you say, yeah, they're political prisoners and they should be freed, again, it gets to, well, then why don't we just elect Trump? Right? I mean,
because DeSantis is younger and fitter and they like him. I mean, the fact that people like him covers a lot, right? Like, I feel like this is part of the lesson of 2016 about how does Trump get away with it? People just like him. Like, when people like you, you can get away with murder.
They'll let you do anything, Amanda.
Exactly. I know.
Have you noticed that Meatball Ron has dropped a few pounds?
I can't tell if it's the heels or he's actually lost weight or got a
trim. I think that he's on keto. I don't think he's on keto.
He's on the shot.
He's running.
He's on the shot.
Oh,
is
that
might be taking that shot.
It's going to get the face?
The weight loss shot that everybody takes.
Yeah, the Ozempic.
Ozempic.
Oh, come on. This has been on Instagram for years now. You think you just learned about it? Oh, yeah. It's been a big
probably
scandal.
got to Tallahassee just a couple months ago. Perfect, right in time for the campaign. Anyway, that's a side point. I think that I don't really come down on a hard view of exactly predicting how he's going to play this, because I think that he's going to really try to do what he did on Ukraine and not really take a side, just do gibberish talk that seems anti-DOJ and defensive of the whatever, but not pro riot. I think he's going to try to figure out how to walk that line. Where I agree with JBL that I think it's hard for him is these are the issues that are going to be hard for him to hide from. Right? There's certain issues, the type of things that the mainstream media would ask about, gotcha questions about Trump, et cetera, et cetera, that'll be kind of easy for him to hide about because he's not going to take mainstream media interviews. But he is going to have to go into the MAGA media bubble. And those folks are going to ask him about justice for Ashley Babbitt, right? And like those folks are going to, so it's on those issues, in a weird way, he's going to get the hardest questions kind of from the American greatness world. Maybe you won't talk to American greatness, but somebody in that space that will want to try to pin him down on that, either in debates or, on Hugh Hewitt's radio show or whatever it is. And so I do think it'll be a little bit harder for him to duck this sort of thing. And it's a potential pitfall for him. I don't know. I think he might be able to get away with gibberish talk, though.
It's not good that he's on the wrong side of Tucker on this, though, right?
Is he on the wrong side of Tucker?
Well, I mean, until he stated otherwise, I assume he has
said nothing. He has said nothing about Stop the Steal or January 6th since like November 15th. Yeah,
so he's just sort of let it go, the Stop the Steal stuff. But he did say, like, violence is never acceptable. He did one of the highly, generalized violence is never acceptable, and anybody who did such violence should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law or something. So it's enough that if you wanted to say that he's on team Mitch McConnell here, you could make that argument against him.
He's going to go on about media hysteria and people being obsessed with January 6th. And the January 6th committee was like this overwrought thing that wasted a bunch of time and resources. And darn it, if you just elect him, we're going to put an end to this drama and nonsense and get stuff done. Like, that's sort of what he's doing now in his speeches to kind of circumvent a lot of these questions. And obviously it's not an interview, but you can see how he is trying to design a track for himself where I'm just a get it done guy. I'm not distracted. I keep my nose to the grindstone. I'm not going to glad hand you. I'm not going to talk to you a lot. I am just going to get it done.
Yeah, you're right that that's what he's going to do. And I've downgraded my priors about his ability to attack Trump based on that. Because for a while I was like, man, Tiny D is going to get run over by Trump. And then I increasingly started to feel like, Trump is losing his fastball. DeSantis is well positioned. Like there's a lot of issues that he can hit Trump on. I've been really unimpressed with this kind of subtweet of Trump. When I saw him at the Villages, the same thing he did at Reagan Library, he did on a TV hit where it's like, we don't have a lot of drama. Like we're not going to leak. And like, it's like, if you can't even really, if you're like, is he criticizing Trump or not? Like, if you're not sure whether or not he's criticizing Trump, like, that's not a punch, okay? That's like a very light slap, okay? And, like, I not that I expect him to go head on with Trump right now, but if he thinks that's the way here, that he's going to be able to get away with being like, the main contrast is just I'm the get him done guy, and Trump had a little too much drama and a little too much leaking and some... I don't.
But they all think Trump got everything done.
I know.
This is the other problem.
He's got to go hard at him on like Fauci and the wall, and but like you let that tiny little elf push you around. Like he's going to need to go there. And boy, I don't know.
But this is the problem. They all stipulated that the Trump administration was great, right? I mean, when you start from the position of the 4 years under Donald Trump were some of the best times in the history of this country, and everything was great, and we ought to keep doing Donald Trump stuff, but just with me. How does that work?
Their lies don't have to be consistent. Have we not learned this lesson that voters do not care about lies or consistency when you are telling them what they want to hear? And I'm telling you right now, they like Ron. They might not later, and of course he's not going to attack Trump right now. That wouldn't make any sense. But here, where I think he is very vulnerable is that he's running around the country essentially saying, like, Florida is awesome. Florida is paradise. Everybody wants to live in Florida. There's nothing wrong here. Our schools are great. Our economy's great. Our jobs are great. Like, make America Florida, essentially. Like, Florida is nice, but I don't think you should stake your entire reputation based on, what's happening in an entire state. Like, it would not be hard to go into Miami and find drug dens or illegal immigrants working in all these beautiful hotels that make the Florida tourism industry work. And so I just think he's staking a lot on that and taking responsibility for things that he cannot control.
Yeah, and are we sure people that live in suburban Pittsburgh have positive views about Florida?
Yeah. Yeah, and people also don't like being told that, like, where you live sucks and where I live is better. Like, that rubs me the wrong way.
Also, how is Florida doing so great in Joe Biden's economy? I'm confused by this.
Because of Ron DeSantis'
very hard to understand.
Awesome leadership.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that Joe Biden's economy was just wreaking havoc across this country with all the inflation and the debt and everything. And, where people can bear, people are out there eating dust sandwiches.
That's true. People are eating dust sandwiches in Florida, and things are not great on that front, but they can freely insult trans people in the schools there. And so that makes them feel better about the egg prices.
Right.
That's nice.
Eggs are very expensive, but in Florida, they don't
You
let
can
your
throw
children
eggs
have
at
any
the
books
trans
in their
kids.
classroom library. So that's good.
Just
All right,
smother them those kitty litter boxes.
We'll come back to, we're going to hit DeSantis a little bit again at the very end.
Do we have to?
Yeah, because I'm going to give you a chance to do your to go on a heater.
Okay.
Amanda, did you text this to me today or Slack it, or I'm pretty sure it was from you. The third way, no labels stuff. Can you explain to the people what's going on with this? Because it's hysterical.
So apparently No Labels is really making a bid to have a third party and a third party presidential candidate. They're trying to get on the ballot. They got on the ballot in Arizona today, as announced by the Secretary of State. And it's like, Tim, you've written about this many times for the Bulwark about why third parties would boost Trump. So Third Way came out with this big memo, essentially and I didn't know the case that No Labels has been making to people. I mean, they're super well funded. They've got like $76 million. They can give Mark Halperin $300,000 a year to do what? Why? Who knows?
Billionaires are a policy failure. At least billionaires who would give to No Labels are a policy failure.
Yeah. Although Halperin left today, but still, that was just one weird thing about it. But, they're saying that this magical third-party candidate that does not exist could win in states like Texas and Delaware against Joe Biden. Like, it is just nuts, magical thinking. And it's all centered around this idea that they will have a candidate that's somehow better than Biden. And they don't have a person, but they're setting up all this infrastructure, spending all this money. And it's just the dumbest thing. And so there's just a lot of problems with it. They need the candidate. They need a candidate that will somehow not boost Trump. They still have to get 270 votes to win. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And I
They're
feel
on
like
the ballot in Arizona. That was big news.
Yeah. So why do the donors keep falling for this? I don't understand, donor brain.
So I could see and I could understand this if we were looking at a race between Trump and Kari Lake on one side and then Bernie Sanders and Pramila Jayapal on the other side, right? Then you can be like, wow, this country needs, we're a little bit too far out to the polls. We need a centrist choice. Joe Biden is a pretty centrist political figure. He's governed in an awfully centrist manner. Here's my question. If Third Way looks at, if No Labels looks at this and thinks, yes, we need a third party candidate, then what would the Democrat have to look like for them to say, okay, this is all fine. We don't need a third party candidate.
Joe Manchin.
I guess if Joe Manchin was the nominee, then it would be okay. Okay, maybe. Yeah,
I'm not sure what would Joe Manchin do that's different than Biden, except for Joe Biden bailed out the student loans, right? I don't know what the problem is with Biden. I can say what my problems are with him with spending and some minor things, but I don't know what their problem is.
No, it's fine. Well, they need to stay relevant. This is Mark Penn and Nancy Jacobson that are running a fucking scam, and they live in New York City, and they don't like the crime in New York City, and they don't like the tax.
They should move
rates.
to the free state of Florida.
Exactly, and they don't like the tax rates. And
I'm sure they have a home there for tax reasons.
Yeah, and they're just like, okay, we need somebody else to solve this problem. And they go and they find 20 other rich assholes who don't like their tax rates and don't like the homeless encampments, 18 miles from their fortress up in Connecticut. And that's it. They get those people to get the money. But there's nothing here. And a lot of good-natured people are get fooled by this, right? Because they're like, yeah, I would like somebody to bring things together. And we are two people. It's a nice notion, right? But there's not, like, these people are offering nothing. And you know, like going into Arizona makes me feel it's a very cinema-ish play. You know, I think Sinema's gonna get killed actually.
Yeah.
But like Sinema might very well elect Carrie Lake to the Senate, or the sheriff guy, the big hat. I'm not blanking on his name. Mark
Fincham.
No, not Fincham. Fincham's
so
not gonna run for Senate. There's another cosplay sheriff.
Oh boy.
Okay, where we've moved. Arpeo's gone. Fincham's gone. There's a new cosplay sheriff in town who's like from Wisconsin or something, and he moved there and he put on a big belt buckle and a hat and talked about how he hates immigrants. Now he's something. Anyway, we'll come up. Somebody will message us.
It's not Sheriff Clark, is it? Did Sheriff
Clark
relocate?
It's not Sheriff Clark. And so, like, that person or Carrie Lake could end up in the Senate because of it. And so I worry that No Labels is doing a presidential version of that. It's just like the only play for a third party is to that would be actually helpful would be to get an anti-wokester, right? Joe Rogan, you know, running for president against Trump and Biden would be the only thing that'd be actually useful. Because he might pull from Trump some, and you know who the hell, right? But like this bullshit that No Labels is doing, and that Yang and Jolly, like, God love them all, like it's a path to the third way. People have it exactly right. These third way people are not like fucking liberal partisans. I mean, like the third way is like the old Clinton, you know, people. This is a center left group, and they have this exactly right.
Well, great. Hopefully this.
I'm going to Google the sheriff here. While I go, can I do one other fact check on myself? Do you guys mind?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I have written down my little show map here. Self-correction, Timothy?
Yeah, I need to do a self-correction for last week. You guys weren't here. And Sarah and I were talking about the drag queen bans. This is another, the free speech party is passing bans on drag shows. Sheriff Mark
just
Lamb.
like they're the Law and Order Party.
The Free Speech Party. Sheriff Mark Lamb in Arizona is the guy's name. The Free Speech Party is passing these drag bans all around the country. And one thing I noticed as I was covering this, I wrote about the Arizona one, and we did some on the Tennessee one for Not My Party, is I read the actual bills because I don't want to be alarmist. Like I want to make sure that I'm reading this right. Like that this would really ban drag brunch at a restaurant or ban gay pride, and like it does. I mean, we'll see how it's enforced, but
or just a fun costume party.
Yeah, if you read the language, right? And the key word in all these language is prurient. And it's like, if the drag is prurient, then, you know, then we can ban it. And I was like, I kind of had assumed that this was ALEC or something that had come up with the magic word prurient. But as it turns out, we have like 100 constitutional law scholars that listen to The Next Level. I'm really grateful that you let us dumb down your day on Wednesdays. But they have let me know. JVL, do you know what the truth is? Why prurient is in all these things?
Is it a legal term of art?
It is a legal term of art. There was a Supreme Court case, Miller versus California. It was a 3-part test. It was a 3-part test.
I'm not going to pretend like I know what that is.
Okay, it was a 3-part test for how states and localities could ban certain types of lewd conduct and prurient.
Like public nudity.
Exactly, things of that nature. So prurient was the word in Miller versus California, hence why it's in all of these bills. These bills are still terrible, but I want this to be an educational program, and also to admit, you know, I don't know everything. We're pretty smart. You know, we've got a lot of knowledge.
So what are the guidelines for pruriency, which isn't a word, I'm sure?
It's about intent. It's about that it has excessive intent to be sexual. Essentially, right? That like it's not just accidentally sexual. It's not just a nip slip. It's like there was excessive intent to sexualize the children in this case.
Okay.
And so what they're saying is that drag shows can be banned if there's excessive intent to sexualize the public. But it's
so
like
you can dress up, but no grinding.
Yeah, right. But it's like, who's judging that? Sheriff Lamb, like the one cop that walks into the drag brunch. Like, who's you know what I mean? Like, this is all. It's crazy. But
anyway. I think they just banned Hooters.
Hooters feels prurient to me.
I mean, there's a lot of eyelashes. There's a lot of like self tanner.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff.
All right, before we get out of here, Amanda, I just out of curiosity, are you leaning, toying, thinking about endorsing Donald Trump in order to stop Ron DeSantis from becoming president? Is that a thing that you've been wrestling with these last many weeks?
I can say that possibility has never crossed my mind.
How about you, Timothy?
No.
Are you sure about that? Because Andrew Sullivan...
So mad about
I'll
this.
be very nice. Andrew Sullivan tweeted out that he was just waiting for the Bulwark to endorse, his word not mine, Donald Trump in order to stop Ron DeSantis.
You know, the only thing I know about him, because I didn't read him and he only like came into my view during the Obama years, was that he was like a truther about Sarah Palin's baby.
Yes.
Like, that is the only thing I only know about him. I know he has this whole body of work, but, like, that hit me as, like, that guy's crazy. Never reading him again. And that's all I know.
He was super into the Iraq War until he was super against the Iraq War. Really loved George W. Bush until he really loved Barack Obama. He just, you know, he's Andrew has a lot of oscillation.
So I've always loved Andrew. I loved Andrew. Andrew was very formative for me. I'm not an Andrew hater like you are, JVL. I'm not somebody like Amanda. I thought he was. I mean, on gay. He was first on gay marriage. I mean, look, Andrew was first. Andrew was first on gay marriage and first on pot. Okay, I mean,
I told you I saw the Truther Sarah Palin thing, and it was like, nope.
That's covering a lot of my interests, okay? Being first to be pro-gay marriage, first to be pro-legalizing pot, and first to talk about the disaster that was Sarah Palin. I mean, he checked a lot of boxes for me in 2007, okay? So we were vibing. So I was a big reader of his blog back then. And I actually kind of did the same thing as him on the Iraq War. So we can make fun of that, but I was on the same trajectory as him on the Iraq War. So I've been very saddened by this. For some reason, he really has decided to pick on the Bulwark. I think that it helps him with his new righty friends, because he has gone very anti-woke, and I think he's cultivating a little bit of a new audience, and like we're an easy punching bag for him is I guess it. But to go out, like, nothing pisses me off more than like just like haphazardly questioning somebody's sincerity and integrity, you know, about something like this, right? I don't question Andrew's sincerity. Like, he sincerely has decided that like the woke mind virus is a very important issue, and that like that he is in line with the right on that. I do think that he's sincere about that. So like, say to us that like, oh, these never Trumpers, they're just in on this grift, and they just want these liberal fans and donors or whatever, and they don't even care. They want Trump, actually. Like, not only are they not sincere about disliking Trump, they secretly want him around because it's good for their grift. And it's like, I'm sorry, we're not making that much money at the Bulwark, okay? Like, if I wanted to grift, I could fucking grift, okay? This is not a grift. And like, the idea that those of us that gave up our fucking careers over Donald Trump now, like, want him back. Now we are criticizing Ron DeSantis because of some triple bank shot effort to think that to make it seem like that helps Trump to keep him around is the stupidest fucking shit I've ever heard. Okay, if I wanted to help Ron DeSantis, the best thing I could do is go out and support Ron DeSantis. If I put on a Ron DeSantis t-shirt and was like, I think that he's a secret neocon, and I loved it. That's, if I wanted to, you know, like, if I wanted to help Trump and harm Ron DeSantis, that's the best thing I can do. Like, us just saying what we think, that Ron DeSantis' illiberalism is not like some bank shot effort to help Trump. It's not helping Trump. Like, we have no influence over the fucking MAGA swing voter. Okay, so like the accusation is bullshit, It's insulting. It fucking pisses me off. And he should know better. And many people pointed it out to him, and he refused to back down. And like, I do think this is a little bit of part of the reason it pisses me off is because of my affection for Andrew. Part of the reason it pisses me off is I think it's a preview of kind of what is to come. And I just, it is not true. And he can eat a dick, but not in the way that he likes.
You know, I don't want to. Here's the dispatch from the future. It's going to be January 2025. Ron DeSantis has just been sworn into the Oval Office. And we will be sitting back saying, look, we live in a new reality, but at least Donald Trump is gone. And now we got to chart a course forward. And all of these assholes will say, see, we were right. We got to have our cake and eat it too. Like, it was fine.
JVL, that Trump is such a downer. Can I end on an upper?
And we got our guy. We got our guy, Conservatism Inc.'s guy, back in, and none of us lost our place in line. Let the good times roll.
Can I end on a more positive note, JVL? There's one more news story. I know it's been a good show, really quite a long show, but Nick Cannon, you know Nick Cannon? He's in Drumline. Actor,
that movie was fun.
It was a great movie. Mariah Carey, I think, and him had an affair, had a little fling.
That's true.
Okay, Nick has like 11 children, maybe 12. He's partnering. There's a news item. He's partnering with Kevin Hart for the mother of all game shows, pun intended. Who's Having My Baby with Nick Cannon? Nick wants to have one more child, and this is natalism and capitalism all wrapped up into one story. And I just thought that you, JVL, with your kind of history and advocating for, more babies and the demographic pyramid issues, I just wanted to be the first to talk to you about this new game show and let you know you might want to set your DVR and maybe do some writing about it, because this is exciting natalism and capitalism all in one.
I do love me some Kevin Hart. And I am always very happy when people who are other than me have babies. So good for Nick Cannon and his baby mama to be. I mazel tov. I wish them all the best. And I am, again, it's good for America when people who are not in the last family have babies.
Amanda, you seem to be
I'm just confused by I saw this and my immediate reaction was no. I don't exactly know who Kevin Hart is. I know Nick Cannon has a lot of
Jumanji?
babies. But
You've seen the Jumanji movies?
No, we started it. My kids were terrified. Off.
Smart.
How does this work? So there's a contestant.
Well, there's
and
a man and a woman.
He impregnates a girl at the end.
Okay, when a man and a woman really love each other,
and if the man concentrates very hard, he's able to achieve.
They make babies on live TV for ratings. Is that
I don't know. I don't know how the consummation's.
Is he going to pay child support?
I do.
Does she get a monetary reward at the end?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe that there's some financial incentive at play. Yeah.
I mean, what more beautiful expression of love could you possibly hope for in this crazy topsy-turvy world of ours?
God bless this great country. Thank you, Amanda, for joining us today.
You're the best, Amanda. It's been a good show, a long show. Before we get out of here, go to thebulwark.com. Sign up for all of our great content.
And the new
Charlie
Sunday
Sykes' and the new. Tune in for the new Sunday show. Get Charlie Sykes' fantastic newsletter, faux free, every morning. Morning Shots. Get it at bulwark.com. Go hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, tell a friend, and watch for us on Sunday. Bye.
Bye.